Namaste, angels. This is going to be our weekly general reading for Sunday, the 12th, which is today. I'm a little late. I apologize. I went out yesterday. First of all, I did some things with my girls, my daughters, shopping and whatnot earlier in the day. And then their hair, got their hair done, all that kind of stuff. And then I went out yesterday evening. And so I also had a bunch of client readings to do. This is not a complaint. I'm just letting you know. And I decided to do them all, including the one that I had received late Friday night while I was at the gym. I've started this, it's basically like a strengthening class, a lot of weightlifting and stuff like that. So I was at the gym Friday when that came in, and I decided to include that as well and post that one. So I'm a little behind. My apologies for my lateness today, but we'll have our reading in time for the rest of the week. And I'm going to go right into it, so I don't waste any more time. On the Jewish calendar, I've been mentioning that there is nothing until the 19th when the month of Kislev starts. So that is still the case. And I was going to tell you a story because I was moved to remember it and think to tell it this week. It's another story about the divine feminine leading. This one is not starring a Mariama, as opposed to Moses' sister and, of course, Mary, the mother of Jesus. Those Mariamas, I've told stories about how they led the divine feminine in history before us, and now it's our turn. This one is Yehudit, also known as Judith, right? Yeah, I'm going to save that story for next week's reading because the 19th is Sunday. So it will be the official start day of next week's reading. Also, next week, I probably won't have the what's going on in the sky this week portion because I think I'm going to record it a little early, not knowing now, in advance of that date, what the universe may have me do. For King Osiris, if anything, where my attentions may be drawn, and also for my divine masculine, if I'm guided by the universe or him to do anything for or with him for his birthday, I want to be able to do that. So I'm clearing my calendar for those things, and I'll probably record the next week's reading early. So I'll leave out the sky this week and replace it with the story of Judith. Because I think the feminine need another reminder that this journey begins with us. And it may seem like it's going on for a long time. I don't know if you guys know if you remember the story of Exodus, it wasn't like, overnight. This was years. Now, I would hope, just like the rest of you, that ours won't be as long as that one. But it was years. Moses was a baby when his sister and mother were already working with the feminine. His sister began at 6 years old and was psychic, and as was the mother, and they were helping people. And his sister, is who guided the mother to place him in that little bassinet and send him down the river to, where Pharaoh's sister found him and raised him as her own. So Moses was already, an adolescent at best when he decided to leave that place, the palace, and rejoin the Jews, when he learned his true identity. And then he began to help his sister and brother to lead the people. And it was still the sister who for a long time had to do it before it was Moses' turn to take over everything. And then it took them years to exit. So again, I would hope that ours is not nearly like that, but I think there's a lot of misleading information out there, and it relies on and not only relies, takes advantage of relies on and takes advantage of our vulnerabilities, our desire for love and this kind of love, true unconditional love, that we fall into these traps of watching other people pretend to already be in perfect situations. If you're on this journey, you are not. I say it all the time. There's not one divine union that is in true union as the universe intends. And some of you may want to watch. Actually, I did a client reading. One of the many that I did this weekend was a video one for a married couple. I believe I entitled it SB7, 6 or 7, something like that. And it's a married couple who, like the rest of us, goes into separation, has their difficulties and such like that. And just if you want to see, for yourself, with your own eyes, because the client actually replied or posted a comment on the video too, of how everything that I had seen was accurate and what they're going through, and how she still has to release different karmic issues that, she thought she was past, just like the rest of us, as does her husband. So all this stuff, every week we see these people on YouTube. Like, I see them too. I get recommendations. Union is here. It's this week. Every week they're saying the same thing. What happened last week? I thought it was there. Now it's here. And we keep falling into it. Again, because of our desire. Our desire for true love and for positive, happy messages and something to look forward to. I hope to give you positive, happy messages too, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not in that quote unquote business. It's not even my nature, right? By nature, by birth, I'm a Gemini. I got to blurt stuff out how it is. So I'm not going to lie to you. And we're going to keep it real here. And what's real is that the divine feminine is going to be, as a collective, further ascended than the divine masculine, and has been chosen, as has happened throughout history, and, religious or spiritual, theological history before us, many, many times before us. So I went into a whole thing, but next week I'm going to be telling you the story of Judith to coincide with the month of Kislev. And this week, there is a couple of things on the Christian calendar. So the 12th today, Saint Jehoshaphat, bishop and martyr. Tomorrow, the 13th, St. Francis Xavier. A lot of he's a very popular saint here. There's a school named after him. Nothing on the 14th. On the 15th, St. Albert the Great, bishop and doctor. The 16th, St. Margaret of Scotland, also St. Gertrude the Great, virgin. Friday, the 17th, St. Elizabeth of Hungary. Also Saints Roque, like Raquel. Right, it's Roque, R-O-Q-U-E. Gonzalez is her last name. Alfonso Rodriguez, Saint Alfonso Rodriguez, and Saint Juan del Castillo, priests and martyrs. Saturday, this one I'm going to recognize in a moment, the dedication of the Basilica of Saints Peter and Paul. Also, Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, and Saint Rose of the Philippines, who was also a virgin. With that, let me go right into the dedication of the churches. I'm going to read it from www.franciscanmedia.org. Dedication of churches of Saints Peter and Paul. St. Peter is probably the most famous church in Christendom. I didn't know Christendom was a word. I would have said Christianity. In any case, massive in scale and a veritable museum of art and architecture, it began on a much humbler scale. Vatican Hill was a simple cemetery where believers gathered at St. Peter's tomb to pray. In the year 319 and 319 in terms of the month and day is the feast day of Saint Joseph, March 19th. But in the year 319, Constantine built a basilica on the site that stood for more than 1,000 years until, despite numerous restorations, it threatened to collapse. In the year 1506, or 66, Pope Julius II ordered it raised and reconstruction, but the new basilica was not completed and dedicated for more than 2 centuries. St. Paul's, outside the walls, stands near the Abbazia, Abaazia, Dell, Delle, Tre, Tre, Fontaine, Fontane, where St. Paul is believed to have been beheaded. The largest church in Rome until St. Peter's was rebuilt. The basilica also rises over the traditional site of its namesake's grave. The most recent edifice was constructed after a fire in 1823. The first basilica was also Constantine's doing. Constantine's building projects enticed the first of a century-long parade of pilgrims to Rome. From the time the basilicas were built until the empire crumbled under barbarian invasions, the 2 churches, although miles apart, were linked by a roofed colonnade of marble columns. So this thing like a tunnel connecting St. Peter's Church and St. Paul's Church for miles. Reflection. Peter, the rough fisherman whom Jesus named the rock on which the church is built, and the educated Paul, reformed persecutor of Christians, Roman citizen, and missionary to the Gentiles, are the original odd couple. The major similarity in their faith journeys is the journey's end. Both, according to tradition, died a martyr's death in Rome. Peter on a cross and Paul beneath the sword. Their combined gifts shaped the early church, and believers have prayed at their tombs from the earliest days. Astrology. Okay, so recap. We're still in the energy of the full moon in Taurus, which began on the 3rd or 4th, depending upon what hemisphere one is in. At least as far as I'm concerned, it goes on for 2 weeks. And so through the end of this week until we get up to the 18 rather, and the new moon. The 5th, Mercury entered Sagittarius. The 7th, Venus entered Scorpio. Jupiter had already entered Scorpio. We talked about that the end of last month. The 10th, I did a video on this for those of you who haven't seen it and would like to, that explains what some of us have been going through, some friction and why, but what's to come as a result of Lilith having left Sagittarius on the 10th, having confronted Venus, basically. I called the video Venus versus Lilith by Lilith. Venus was sextile Lilith on the 10th, and also Lilith entered Capricorn on the 10th, exited Sagittarius and entered Capricorn. So I did a video on what that means to me and what the cards agreed it to mean. And so lastly is the 18th and our new moon in Scorpio, which occurs this week on the last day for which this reading is, Saturday. And with that, I'll go into the sky this week then. So today, Sunday, November 12th, Mercury passed on the far side of the sun more than a month ago, and it's only now returning to view at dusk. From the southern United States this evening, you can find the innermost planet 5 degrees above the southwestern horizon 30 minutes after sunset. It appears higher the farther south you live and lower from the more northerly latitudes. Mercury shines brightly at a magnitude of -0.3 and should be easy to spot through binoculars. If you look carefully, you should pick up the glow of first magnitude star Antares, just 2 degrees to its lower left. A telescope reveals the planet's disk, which spans 5.5 inches and shows a gibbous phase. Also, I think today is a Virgo moon. And I was just reminded about that, seeing the Ace of Autumn, with which I'm going to begin out of my peripheral vision. Don't mind me. Monday, November 13th, the first planetary conjunction of 2017 takes place in the pre-dawn sky. Venus and Jupiter rise together in the east-southeast some 70 minutes before sunrise and climb 5 degrees high a half hour later. I think that this is going to be very, very good for us. Again, Venus is in Jupiter. Jupiter is in Scorpio. And it may have something to do with in what house it falls for each of us. Again, I'm not an astrologer, but I would imagine it does. But I think it's good. It's good, especially if one's karma is good, or like your karma bank is full of work and effort that you've put into it. I think it's going to be especially good because Jupiter is the planet of luck and karma, and he gives stuff, and Venus is the planet of abundance, love, and money. So if we're getting gifted based on our, extra special, extra good luck, love, and money, sounds good to me in whatever area of one's chart it falls. So anyway, they rise together in the east-southeast some 70 minutes before sunrise and climb 5 degrees high a half hour later. Venus shines at a magnitude of -3.9 and appears just 0.3 degrees to the left of magnitude -1.7 Jupiter. Binoculars deliver stunning views of the two set against the growing twilight, while a telescope shows both in a single field. Venus measures 10 inches across and appears nearly full, while Jupiter spans 3 times that diameter and lies at the center of an entourage of 4 bright moons. During the following days, Jupiter will climb higher while Venus sinks closer to the horizon. Tuesday, November 14th. The waning crescent moon points the way to Mars this morning. Luna rises shortly before 3 a.m. local time, and Mars follows about a half hour later. The red planet lies some 8 degrees below the moon as the two climb together with the background stars of Virgo the Maiden. Of course, the magnitude 1.8 red planet stands out in the eastern morning sky all week, rising some 3 hours before the sun and climbing nearly 20 degrees high as twilight starts to paint the sky. Unfortunately, the view through a telescope proves disappointing. Mars spans just 4 inches and shows no detail. Wednesday, November 15th. Uranus reached opposition and peak visibility less than a month ago, and it remains a tempting target. The outer planet appears in the southeast after darkness falls and climbs highest in the south around 10 p.m. local time. The magnitude 5.7 world lies in southern Pisces, 2.7 degrees west of magnitude 4.3 Omicron Pisceum, the brightest star in this part of the constellation. Although Uranus shines brightly enough to glimpse with the naked eye under a dark sky, use binoculars to locate it initially. A telescope reveals the planet's blue-green disk, which spans 3.7 inches. Thursday, November 16th. The waning crescent moon forms a spectacular trio with Venus and Mars this morning. Jupiter stands 3 degrees above Venus, while the water-thin moon appears 6 degrees above the giant planet. And Friday, November 17th. This morning marks the peak of the annual Leonid meteor shower. Astronomical conditions should be nearly perfect because the moon remains out of the sky all night. It reaches its new phase tomorrow morning. An observer under a clear sky, dark sky, can expect to see up to 10 shooting stars per hour. The meteors appear to radiate from the point of the sickle asterism of Leo the Lion, a region that rises in late evening and climbs high in the southeast before dawn. Prime viewing occurs between approximately 3 a.m. local time and the start of twilight some 2 hours later. And lastly, Saturday, November 18th. Look high in the south after darkness falls this week, and you should see autumn's most conspicuous star group. The great square of Pegasus stands out in the evening sky at this time of year, reaching its peak around 8 p.m. local time. These four almost equally bright stars form the body of Pegasus, the winged horse. The fainter stars that represent the rest of this constellation shape trail off to the square's west. New moon occurs at 6:42 a.m. or 6/6. That's our second 6/6 of this reading. The first was when I was reading a year. The year something went on with the Basilica, St. Peter. At its new phase, the moon crosses the sky with the sun and so remains hidden in our star's glare. I'll do the 19th when I go over the 19th, because I'll be doing a daily for that as well, in addition to the weekly. And I will have also done a reading for the day before, which again is the new moon. And speaking of dailies, I did the Venus versus Lilith reading daily style too, but that doesn't mean that, that energy doesn't carry over. I just wanted to make note of the date on which these things were occurring, especially since so many people were putting, or their focus on 11/11, which this year was actually a 5 and not a 4 or an 11/11, when 11/10 was an 11/11 or a 4. All about our foundations. And on top of that, Venus sextile Lilith. And on top of that, Lilith exiting Sagittarius and entering Capricorn. See the difference of what was going on and why one may be higher energy than the other? Not just because I don't, like people making up 11/11 portals or celebrating them, do what you want, but just logically and using some common sense. 11/10 was the start of maybe a series, not necessarily consecutive series, of the high impact, high energy days. All right, so with that, here we go to the reading. So going to the dice, I'm beginning with Forget It. Dirty movie. I think Forget It showed up in the reading I did the other day too. The Venus versus Lilith. And spend money. Spirit says cocktail. Sex. I just had a thought about cocktail and sex combined as I saw this. Never mind. Sex. And try again. So, the first meaning can be if you made an attempt and it didn't work. As long as you're coming from a place, where it's genuine and of unconditional love, try again. Spirit says email. So maybe what your attempt was at some sort of communication, and the way to go about it is instead email. And I'm going to my animal tarot now, beginning with the Ace of Autumn. Again, today is a Virgo moon, so that could be why this shows up. The Ace of Autumn is a Virgo or a Taurus or Capricorn, or, somebody taking on those traits or attributes that may be impactful upon you this week. You can expect a windfall of abundance, such as money, timely assistance, a serendipitous meeting, or rewarding advice. You may be offered a fabulous new job or promotion, or the prospect of a profitable business venture or investment. This can also be about a relationship too, the birth of a new relationship that will be long lasting and very, fruitful and fulfilling. This Ace of Autumn can also be showing up aside from the Virgo moon because of Venus. As I mentioned also this week, Venus, which is in Scorpio, joins or has already joined Jupiter, which is in Scorpio, but they will be moving a lot closer together, both from a perspective of astrology and astronomy. That may be why when I use the Angel Tarot, beginning with Justice. This card also represents Venus, as Venus is the ruler of the sign of Libra. And opening to Princess of Spring, speaking of Jupiter, maybe that's why this is here. Jupiter, ruler of the sign of Sagittarius. Energetic, outgoing, optimistic, and creative. Creative opportunities that you feel passionate about are fluttering your way. Personal growth and broadened horizons will spark fresh and original ideas. Ace of Autumn, opening to strength. The strength is displayed, true strength rather, is displayed through kindness, forgiveness, and compassion. You have tremendous personal power and courage. Strength, of course, represents the sign of Leo, the lion, which we mentioned also something was going to be going on with Leo the lion in the astronomy that came up. Also, other fire signs can come through with this. Sagittarius, Aries. Ace of Autumn. And Justice. I just mentioned I was beginning with Justice in the other deck, which represents the planet Venus as she rules the sign of Libra, the scales. Fair decisions will be made after all the evidence is reviewed impartially. Have compassion for others and try to see all sides of a disagreement. Also, it had popped into my head as I was shuffling these cards. Let me spit it out before I forget. In talking about having something to look forward to and all of that, I don't want to make it seem like I'm suggesting that we have nothing to look forward to, that there is no end to this journey. I'm just simply saying that the universe will reveal all when it is ready to reveal all. The universe will have us in unions as it intends that expand well beyond the 3D and our conception when the universe intends to. You know, we can't rush it. We can't push it. And if you believe that this journey aligns with what's written, you know that to be so anyway. No one knows, you know, when the Father's going to come or do what he's going to do, but the Father, not even the Son. That's what's written. I think Matthew 24:42, I believe. Don't quote me. But, you know, it says like, be ready, be prepared in, you know, in either case. Oh, that's another 6-6. So maybe that's why I spit that one out. But yeah, we're preparing. That's what this period is about. And that could change tomorrow. But right now, our focus is unconditional love. Whether we're together, you know, in the physical, or we are apart. Whether we or our partner or both are with another in the physical or apart. It's love regardless. Unconditional love is exactly what it sounds to be. Love without condition. That's on what we're to be working right now. Okay, with that, opening to the 6th of summer, which can certainly represent soulmate relationships, past life relationships, divine unions. Also, potentially having something to do with children and maybe one's own childhood. The love and care of children could become an important part of your life, or people from your childhood may return to it. Old memories can be healed, or possibly old childhood dreams are ready to be revived. So some goal that you had set for yourself that you were never able to achieve, or you hadn't had the opportunity yet. It wasn't meant yet, right? Now's the time perhaps for those. Also, the 6 of summer or cups of water for me can be about reunion. A reconciliation, someone from your past returning in the area of love. Maybe an Ace of Autumn. Because that came up too in that reading that I did, the Venus versus Lilith. Or was that in the weekly? In some reading I did recently, there was a feeling of perhaps an earth sign or somebody who's, you know, of that vein and emotion, at least right now, that we may not have been giving a fair chance. And the idea is, yes, as the dice said, try again. Ace of Autumn. I'll go one more. And it's the Three of Autumn. Your most satisfying and profitable career comes from following your passions, listening to your heart, and doing what brings you joy. Your life purpose is best fulfilled by allowing your talents and true self to shine forth out into the world. This is about abundance earned, the Three of Autumn. So it often has to do, from a general standpoint, with work and like a promotion, raise, new opportunity at the office or, you know, factory or wherever one works. Opposite the Ace of Autumn, it can absolutely be that, but you know, abundance comes in the form of love and romance too, and either can be about that as well. Also, as it relates to either, threes, whether of autumn or any element or season, can be about what I tend to call parties of three, which can sometimes be romantic. You know, the cliche love triangle. Ace of Autumn. I'm going to cut. And it's the Four of Autumn, about our foundations. Be cautious about living a life of extremes or seeing things in black and white terms. Consider, for example, whether you're spending too much versus hoarding your wealth, or giving too much emotionally versus building walls up that keep people out. I think this is, you know, why I was moved to make sure I was being clear about my point. When we have like tunnel vision toward union, and that's, you know, on all we're focused, everything is union, union, union. When is it coming? When is it here? Why don't I have it? Why does she have it and I don't? Why does he have it and I don't? We are, in fact, giving of ourselves emotionally way too much. And toward what end? To whom or what energy are we giving it? You know, we're just putting out, it becomes negative. It becomes toxic, right? Toxic energy of emotion, and begins to form cords, toxic, negative cords of emotion that we then have to cut after we've done so much work already. So we just want to be careful, or at least it's my suggestion. Again, we're all free to do as we please. Be careful about being like overly obsessed with union. Even if it was born of a positive place, like in wanting to save a space for someone and not knowing what to do with yourself now. Like, you know, all this time has passed, we're still not in quote unquote union, and, you know, I'm ready to move on. So move on. Move on to the extent that you're able. That's what the universe would have you do. If move on means be in another romantic relationship, then do that if the universe allows you to. If it does, it means that you were meant to explore this other relationship, either as part of the path toward your partner or to learn a lesson. Right? Nothing happens. We have free will. We can make choices, but nothing, you know, at least in my opinion, ultimately happens without the universe allowing it to. Just how we, you know, miss things that we should have encountered otherwise. You know, you're almost hit by a car. You are hit by a car. So I should have died. You didn't, because the universe didn't allow you to. If you were meant to, you would have died even if you just bumped your head. You wouldn't have to be hit by a car. It's that sort of thing. So the union is going to happen because it's meant. And it's going to happen in the time that it's meant. That part is karmic. In the meantime, we have free will choices as to on what we focus and where we put our energy, and whether our energy becomes toxic or remains positive. Okay, I didn't mean to start talking during this part. I'm going to get back to this. Let me get the overall energy here. And the overall energy is the Prince of Spring, or the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Fire. Passionate, charismatic, confident, and restless is the Prince of Spring. He is a Sagittarius, Aries, or he can be also a Leo. I was getting something, I lost it. In any case, an opportunity arises that needs your attention right away. Moving quickly is important, yet there's nothing you can't handle if you follow your inner guidance. Masculine is the king of autumn, who is compassionate, accomplished, charismatic, and grounded. Everything's going to turn out great. Projects will be stunningly successful. Exciting new career opportunities are possible. And money or resources that come your way will be invested wisely. He's surrounded by the two of summer. You're falling in love or experiencing a deepening of emotion in your current relationship. Marriages or romantic partnerships in distress can still be saved as well. Don't give up. I definitely touched on that in the Lilith versus Venus reading. And I guess I kind of did in the beginning of this too. Even married couples that are in divine union experience, some of the challenges that the rest of us do. And even those, as difficult as the situation may be, because some of us forget, like when we don't have a child with our partner, for example, we're not pregnant, we're not married to them. We forget that if the shoe were that the grass is not always greener on the other side, right? That if we were, then perhaps what we were going through that we thought was so difficult and challenging and makes us miserable. Imagine if you added marriage to that fact, to that situation, and you can't as easily walk away. Imagine if you added the fact that you or your partner is pregnant to that situation. And so you can't as easily give up on one another or expect to never see each other again. Because we have that going on. There are couples among us that are married and or pregnant or have children together, and they still experience these difficulties. And for them, there is still not only hope, but, a relationship that's meant is a relationship that's meant. That's it. And this Two of Summer shows up to say, you haven't ruined it, masculine. No matter what you think you may have done, to cause trauma to your relationship, to yourself, your own heart, and to that of your partner, forgiveness can happen. Try again. Wow, this is the perfect person to try again. In the masculine subconscious, it's the King of Summer, or the King of Cups. Warm-hearted, devoted, loving, and faithful is the King of Summer. A trustworthy person or relationship enters your life. You may receive wise and compassionate advice from someone who speaks directly from the heart. Maybe that's me, my Jupiter in Scorpio. I actually got a lot of Scorpio, not in my immediate chart, but in my chart. Yeah, but somebody else can give you some sort of wise advice about love. More importantly, for most of us, if the masculine is feeling this way, King of Summer, in his conscious mind and his, subconscious mind, and surrounded by the energy of the Two of Summer, it's an awesome week for him. It's an awesome week for him because the King of Summer he is loving and compassionate and emotional without it being, a hindrance to him. Like his emotions, he's got his emotions, he has them. So he's like a man of sensitivity, as Ralph Tresvant said. He has them, but he does not wear them on his sleeve. He's got them in check, and he knows how to share them with others, perhaps like nobody else. And I differentiate, all these kings and queens and knights by their behavior. So some people may have heard me say, look, our overall energy, for example, is the Prince of Spring, right? The Knight of Wands. And of all the knights, to me, he is the knight in shining armor. He's Prince Charming of all the knights. But you want the most romantic one, the one that's going to stand below your window. This is the one that's going to come to you and save you. You can count on him to do that because he loves you that much. But you're looking for the one to stand below your window and serenade you, and princess, please come down. I'm going to carry you off, to a life of wonderment. We'll never have to look back. That's the Knight of Water, the Knight of Summer, and the king is just the the elevation of that. That's the upgrade, basically. And look what we have here, mirroring one another. I said in one of my client readings yesterday, I was talking to her about, in the tarot, traditionally, since we've been doing these quote unquote twin flame readings and divine union readings, the king and queen of fire or wands are considered to be, the representation of the divine couple. But in real life, the divine couple of all time is a king of summer and a queen of winter, a Scorpio and a Gemini. And you can have whatever kind of water and air combination that you have, or not be those zodiac signs and just have the emotion and the traits of those. But this is the true divine union. And we have it showing up here, coupled with the Two of Summer. So I think it's going to be a really, really awesome week. This is turning into a love reading, and it's the general. The Queen of Winter is, again, a Gemini, a Libra, or an Aquarius. Or if she's like me, a little bit of each. And her specialty, it's interesting because the Queen of Winter or air or swords, whatever, Venus is a queen of art, and she's the queen of love, right? But at the same time, she is, when she's in this aspect of herself, as opposed to King of Autumn or Queen of Autumn, as also a ruler of Taurus, she's like no nonsense. She's no nonsense, and she can be seen as cold, but she's the queen of love. That's not my say. That's the planet. Venus is the planet of love, and as is, the goddess, mythologically, quote unquote, mythologically, right? So it is what it is. I'm not saying just because I want it to be that this is the divine couple. This is the divine couple. We see it in the planets. We've seen it throughout history. I've been told that. Additionally, it's been made very clear to me, but there's evidence of it. These things are always hidden in plain sight. In any case, the feminine is surrounded by the King of Spring. So this just makes it even better. The quintessential divine masculine of the tarot, also sitting here. Now's your moment to step up to a leadership role. Don't look back away, and don't back away from the spotlight, as your plans will be successful as long as you stay focused upon the big picture. But what does the King of Autumn say? He says everything's going to turn out great. Your plans are going to be successful. So we can be confident that you will remain that way. You will remain, fearless, like this lion, Leo the lion, and go after it. So yeah, the King of Spring can be a Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries, again, or somebody taking on those traits. And it can be sun, moon, or rising as well. In the feminine subconscious, the Princess of Winter. This is the page of air. Logical, truthful, curious, and undiplomatic is the Princess of Winter. This is an intellectual challenge that calls upon your ability to think of a matching solution. If helpful information is put to you bluntly, accept the message without being bothered by the messenger, because the messenger may be a little rough around the edges, right? Undiplomatic. It's not in a malicious way. That's just their nature. How do I know this? I'm a Princess of Winter, technically. This is the page, and I associate the page with the sign of Gemini, as opposed to the Queen, which I would really associate, based on the way I read my tarot, with the sign of Aquarius, the fixed sign of the element of air. The page is the more youthful, and that would be Gemini. Gemini is the more youthful of the element of winter, air, swords. But this can also be a Libra or an Aquarius, and or represent truth bombs coming from the feminine or wanting to come from the feminine. This is in her, her thoughts. So she may want to drop something, or she may be anticipating something being dropped on her. And she could be very, very wrong, because that's another thing about, air signs and the element of air. A lot of it is in our mind. It's not a real tangible situation. So particularly in this placement, the feminine can be thinking things and expecting the worst, basically, when it's not necessary, when this is what the masculine has going on. So definitely no need to be like in your head, over analyzing and being overly critical of yourself in any situation or circumstance that you have encountered, perhaps with the masculine. He's in a really good place. So crowning, awakening. Look at things in a different way and all will make sense. Don't worry if your progress is halted temporarily. That can happen because of the page of winter. Can be about delay. Can also be about, the hangman can also be about delay as well, or temporary delay, temporary pause. Don't worry if that happens, if your progress is halted. Things will soon get moving again. It's a very quick energy. It does not remain. And I actually like to take advantage of hangman energy while it's there, because it doesn't last long. So while you have this moment to sit back and look at things from a different perspective, look at the big picture and really try to focus on that and be, considerate of all perspectives and angles, do it. At the root, more Gemini and more air. It's lovers. True and long-lasting love finds its way into your life. Follow your heart with caring actions and choices. We have the lovers crossing the divine masculine of the tarot, crossing the two of summer, which is, the love card everybody wants to see in their love reading, and sitting next to the king of summer, who's mirroring his divine counterpart, the queen of winter. Our weekly general reading definitely just turned into a love reading. What do we have here at the heart of the matter? Life experience, or the tower. Important changes are coming to your life that will require you to take action. Don't hesitate to move in new directions are right for you. So this is saying change is good, even if it shakes you up, even if it makes you a little bit afraid, because it's going to be different. And where you were, even if you weren't happy, at least you were comfortable. You knew what to expect. You don't know what to expect with change. Don't let that stop you. Go after your heart's desires that are going to be made possible for you with the energy of this tower that's coming down. And I think it's very safe to say it's a good tower, but just by looking at this spread. And look what we have here, straight through the middle, all this, very intense major arcana, karmic energy, as in of the universe, and we can't avoid it. We're not going to be able to avoid this opportunity to take a step back, or, being shaken up, the unexpected happening, miracles happening in our life, maybe because of Jupiter, right? Jupiter and Venus coming together. Maybe that's why. And they're both in Scorpio. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why we have this spread here. We're looking at Venus in Scorpio and Jupiter in Scorpio coming together on Monday to start off our week in a really awesome way. And the overlying wonderful energy of Venus in her other capacity as, the king of autumn here, bestowing these, this abundance upon us in both love, areas of love, and money, just abundance in general. As, with the energy remaining here of the moon, the full moon in Taurus. And, again, perhaps today's moon in Virgo. And then the new moon that we can expect at the end of the week. We close our week with the new moon in Scorpio. So, boom. The whole spread is boom today. Not wasting any time, going right into clarification. Not that I really feel we need any, but just for the sake of getting additional messages potentially, or doubling down on the messages that we already have. I'm beginning with justice from the Angel Tarot. Fair and just decisions. Do what you know is right and stand up for your beliefs. Again, justice represents the sign of Libra, or the air sign. Opening to the Seven of Water, a complex decision. The need to do research. Stop procrastinating. So the Seven of Water it's about Neptune to me, as is awakening. Awakening for me represents or the hangman represents the planet Neptune, which rules Pisces. And that's why you're like, head in the clouds and what do? I got all these choices. I'm fantasizing, life is wonderful in my head. I got to actually do something. So we're guided to make a move here. And it's about making the right move, doing what's right for us. And that will ultimately end up being and having to be what's right for everyone else. That's the way that works. So whatever area it is for you, whether it's going after a new job, and maybe, your friends or family are saying, what are you, nuts? You've been at your other job for a million years. How are you going to leave and go for a new one? If it's right for you, it'll work out for everybody else, because the universe has your back in this instance. And opening to the King of Air, who's brilliant, impartial, professional, and diplomatic. Speak your mind with confidence. Seek out professional advice. Balance mental and emotional considerations. The King of Air is an Aquarius, a Gemini, or a Libra again. Opposite Libra, maybe he is in fact a Libra. Also, the King of Air is, unlike the page, very diplomatic and about, fair and just decisions. So could definitely be Libra energy coming through here. King of Air now on top, and opening to the King of Fire. Right, just above this other King of Fire here. Focus, focus, focus. Communicate with vision. Take advice from someone creative, if you get the opportunity. King of Air. I'll go one more. Boom. Okay, I like how we get to repeat the energy. We know that this is not a mistake. The messages that we got, they're not a mistake. They are clear. This is how it's going down this week. Life experience, yet again. Oh, the Tower, this time with Archangel Chamuel. A significant life event, a powerful revelation that leads to change. It's time to spread your wings. Archangel Chamuel, by the way, the archangel of both unconditional love, not to be confused with the archangel of love. That's Daniel. Love and marriage is Daniel. Archangel of unconditional love specifically, and abundance. On that note, I am going to cut. And speaking of Pisces and the universe revealing what it wants to reveal when it's ready to reveal it, it's the moon with Archangel Haniel. This can also be about the full moon in Taurus or the new moon in Scorpio that is to come at the end of the week. Important psychic insights, events behind the scenes, release fears that hold you back, including that feeling of being comfortable where we are. If we just remain where we are, stuck, even if we feel stuck and miserable, let go of that so that you can move on and go after what it is you want. You are the king of spring here, right? You are Leo the lion. You can do this. Speaking of feeling stuck, the devil is joining the party. The overall energy is ego with Archangel Jophiel. A false sense of entrapment, being overly focused on material things, and negative or fear-based thoughts. Don't let those get you. Atop the king of autumn is the three of fire, abundance. So, of course, the king of autumn also about abundance. Things look very good. Have patience at this time and make long-term plans. So, masculine, if you do have an opportunity to take a new job or make an investment or whatever, like you can feel safe this week that you are the king of autumn. You have the Midas touch. Atop the two of summer, it's the chariot with Archangel Metatron. And these two, like twin horses, one black, one white. That's the yin and yang. That can, they're definitely as extreme opposite as air and water are. An important achievement, self-discipline and willpower, public recognition even. This can be, some couples coming out, as they say, for the first time. Open relationship, as in out in the open. But the chariot, you are in the driver's seat of your own life. You are making decisions that are right for you. And this is a card of major victory from the major arcana. It's also a 7, as is the tower next to which it sits, right? Major arcana card number 16 equals 7. It means it's of the divine. It's at least to me, 7 in supreme math is God. 7 in numerology is like of the divine, of the spirituality. 7 in angel numbers is of God. So that's what this is. This can also be about movement or moving, maybe a couple, right? The two of water moving in together, or maybe just one person moving, but it's so emotionally fulfilling. It gives you two of water kind of feel, right? This is still the general reading. All of those things possible. Somebody may be going on a trip, maybe a couple's trip. You're getting away together, couple's retreat. Can be about a card about travel, all those things. Atop the king of water is the king of water. Boom! We're going to make a habit of this. We're going to do this every week. That's what my angels say. So yeah, atop the king of all love and emotion. Super, super sexy. I tell mine all the time, he's like the sexiest man on the planet. Yeah, that's what the king of water is to me. At least mine. My specific king of water is the sexiest man on the planet. But they all have the potential to be to their, divine counterpart, if you ask me. Open your heart and mind to those around you. Trustworthy and heartfelt advice. And charity work, which is love. At least as far as I'm concerned. Boom! Top the queen of winter is the queen of winter. How you like me now? Independent, experienced, realistic, and witty is the queen of air. And that's all I'm being right now. Don't take me seriously. Objective decision making. Clearing away all that no longer serves you and seeing the humor in the situation. I do love my angels, though. I absolutely adore them. I'm not joking about that part, but it's, the other stuff. Atop the king of spring is the star, which represents the sign of Aquarius. So I was saying before, for me, the queen of air is really an Aquarius, you know, if I'm talking tarot, because that's the fixed sign of the element of air. So here is Aquarius showing up to the party. Also, this can be connected to the die that suggested that we email. The star can be about communication, as all air signs can be about, but specifically the electronic kind, at least if you ask me. Happy times. Make positive, optimistic, long-term plans. You are on the right path. Perhaps make those plans with a king of spring, or perhaps you are the king of spring and you should feel confident about any and everything you do, right? This is your energy just shining. And it's an 8. 8s are about abundance and, you know, infinity, the infinite of what can be bestowed upon you, right? The power of the universe and what's available to you. Here atop the Princess of Winter, so the Page of Winter or Page of Air, is the Page of Fire. News of an exciting new endeavor. Use your originality and ingenuity. The Page of Fire is a Sagittarius for me, which is the mirror opposite of Gemini. And they are both, it's a Sagittarius to me because it's the page. And again, the page is the more youthful and sometimes the younger. And Sagittarius would be the more youthful of the element of fire. Beginning to make a mess here. Atop awakening. Didn't I say that the 7 of water means Neptune for me, and so does the Hangman? So now they're being really funny and silly, the angels here. Atop awakening, or the Hangman, is the 7 of water. A complex decision. There's a need to do research. That research can include taking a step back and looking at the big picture. Stop procrastinating. Atop the Lovers is more Gemini as far as I'm concerned, but actually this is when it can be water too. So maybe it's bringing the Queen of Air together with her King of Water. It's 2s are about partnership. So that can absolutely be happening. The High Priestess is in fact a Queen of Air. But this can also represent water signs because of the intuition that the High Priestess has. Now, similar to the King of Water and how he doesn't like wear his emotions on his sleeve, she doesn't wear her like knowledge. She has that intuition. She doesn't necessarily share everything. She keeps a lot to herself, like under cuff, as they say, and only like reveals it and uses it when she needs to, but she has it to use is the thing that's important here. It sits here atop another major arcana card. So this is very, very strong energy. The High Priestess atop the Lovers. It means you know what to do. You know what to do in the area of love, in the pursuit of your own happiness. And you have not only do you have the knowledge, you have the capacity to make it happen. The High Priestess is going to be somewhat methodical though, right? That's why it says consider carefully what you want before acting. You want this love? You want, you know, King of Fire on Queen of Fire, divine love, Queen of Air on King of Water, divine love, then narrow down your choices and your options and make the decision you have to make, get your head out of the clouds and focus and take your victory. That's what the High Priestess would do. At the heart of the matter, atop life experience or the Tower. Speaking of the Queen of Fire, here she is now to join her man, sitting right next to him. This is 1111 in cards. 11, 11, divine union, and the 2 of water. Equals 6 equals love when you add them all 3 together. So yeah, this week we have a love reading as part of the general. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'm going to go to the advice now. The Queen of Fire, like the King and the Page, and the Prince or Knight, that was our overall energy from this deck that I just dealt the advice from, is a Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries. I also want to get advice from My surrender cards, I was moved to use these this week, beginning with surrender procrastination. Now is the time to jump on a goal instead of putting it off. Taking action will attract success. I think this whole reading says that. And maybe we don't even need individual advice, but I'm still going to do it. And opening to surrender your fear of change. Wasn't I just talking about this? This reading's pretty awesome. I have to say so myself. The universe is reminding you that you are cared for always, whether you're afraid of change in your job, your health, or relationship. I think I specifically said all those too, with the exception of health. Or if your fear of aging or death, is bothering you too, repeat this affirmation. I have faith that all is well. Surrender procrastination. And surrender to creativity. Let your imagination soar. Stay open to all creative ideas about how to pursue a dream or solve a problem. Surrender to creativity. And surrender to beauty of the natural world. Take a relaxing break and spend time in nature. Replenish yourself by feeling the beauty and the ecstasy there. I think I'm going to cut on that note that makes me think about Venus, right? The beauty and ecstasy in nature. That sounds like the Empress, Venus. Surrender to the magic of who you are. We all have magic in us, even in the mundane aspects of life. Remember that you are a magical being with a uniqueness and worth that comes from just being you. So when we ask ourselves that question, or we ask our partner that question, like, why? Why are you interested in me? Why do you love me so much? What have I done? I've been pretty shitty to you. It can even be a possibility. This is why. Just being you. And the overall energy is surrender to prayer. Give yourself completely to prayer. When you pray from your heart, you will be heard throughout the universe, and answers and support will arrive. Lastly, I figured we could all use some therapy, and I'm beginning with my angel therapy cards and God box. Write any worries, concerns, or desires on a piece of paper that you put into a special container called a God box as a way of letting go and allowing the divine to help you to do so, right? And opening to emotional sensitivity. Honor and respect your deep sensitivity as it is a gift to us all. Emotional sensitivity, manifestation power. Use your spiritual gifts and natural abilities to attract your desired outcome. That's very King of Spring too, right? Like the confidence and Queen of Fire, yes, as well. The confidence and grace to pull in whatever it is we want. But also of, again, the air, or maybe specifically Gemini and water, to manifest, instant manifestation power has the High Priestess has. Emotional sensitivity and opening to solar plexus chakra. It's safe for you to be powerful and to take charge of your life in positive ways. Get in the driver's seat, right? Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, that energy. Solar plexus. And lastly, workshops and seminars. Attending and giving speeches is part of your spiritual path and purpose. Be open to teaching and learning. This is similar to be open to, both giving and receiving love. And a lesson, a teaching can absolutely be love. A form of love. Solar plexus. I'm going to cut. Vacuum away fear. Call upon archangels Michael and Raphael to lift fear-based energy from you, your surroundings, this situation, and everyone involved. And the overall energy is throat chakra. The angels are helping you to lovingly speak your truth. I adore it. Further, to the masculine, indigo. The person you're inquiring about is an indigo, meaning a highly sensitive, natural-born leader. You may be inquiring about yourself, it sounds to me. This sounds very king of water. Feminine, ascended masters. Powerful, loving, and wise spiritual teachers are watching over and guiding you. Masculine, surrender to effortlessness. Stop pushing so hard. The art of living means going with the flow instead of trying to force the river. Feminine, surrender to wonder and awe. Open to the magic of every moment and sense the awe and wonder in all of life. This attitude will keep you connected to the ecstasy of flow. Masculine, the 6 of autumn. Speaking of being able to give and receive love, your success and prosperity have allowed you to pay off debts, acquire wise loans, or receive a grant or scholarship in return for heaven's blessings. Be sure, or in return for heaven's blessings rather, be sure to share the wealth with others through donations of time or money to reputable charities. So this is about giving and receiving, all forms of abundance. Feminine, the 2 of winter. Procrastination and worry about what others may think or will think is blocking you from making a decision. If you're torn between your own desires and someone else's, follow your inner guidance. And lastly, boom, masculine, the 2 of fire. You've come into your own. New partnerships or contracts continue to move forward. And feminine, it's the Queen of Earth. Thoughtful, creative, warm, and sensible is the Queen of Earth. Make time for those around you. You see, like I started out the reading saying I was clearing out my calendar at the end of the week. Make time for those around you. Take a sensible approach and deal with challenges in a kind and understanding manner. It looks like there's not only an abundance of love, but an abundance of love for every single one of us. There is not one element, one zodiac sign that has been left out of this spread here in the area of court cards. We have Earth here with the King of Earth sitting under here. We have the Queen of Air 2 times over, the King of Water 2 times over, Fire, Air again, the King of Spring and the Queen of Fire to align perfectly with the masculines 2 of fire here. Life is good this week. I hope that you guys enjoy the reading and find it helpful. Namaste, angels.